Welcome to the Gamecast. I am Mark, your host from Pix in Motion, joined by Greg from Pixel Play Cafe. And today continues the Junk Food Chronicles. We're going to, we're a little thirsty, so we're going to check out CoolSpot. Of course, that's from 7-Up.
Yes.
So let's get it. Let's,
Uncola.
yeah, the Uncola. So let's go ahead and get into that real quick.
When you're looking for a clean break from your cola routine, you don't want to be sucked in by imitations. You want the only non-cola that picks up where colas leave off. You want the Uncola, 7-Up. When you want the taste of there's only one.
All right. So, Greg, I didn't get as far into the game as I wanted, and quite honestly, I didn't rage quit, which usually happens. This time, I actually made it through, and I couldn't find where the hell you get out, or move on to the next level. So I only got level 1, which is pathetic, and it's actually my first time playing the game, so whatever. It doesn't
basically
matter.
My first time too.
But
yeah, it's basically my first time as well.
Now I played the Sega Genesis version, and I didn't change the difficulty level or anything like that. I had to I didn't know you could fire I don't know what it is really that you're shooting. But I learned about it halfway through the level. I'm like, oh, no way. And then as I died a couple times, but then I realized, okay, I can use this to knock out the crabs. And then I kind of realized, you're super small, and you see, I don't know is it a 2-liter, a 7-Up or something? I remember seeing something, but regardless, from my experience just with the first level, the animations are superb. Reminds me a lot of Aladdin or was that The Lion King on the Sega?
You're saying that is not a coincidence, right?
I guess not. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
I actually. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't look up any history on this.
Okay. Well, I did.
I wanted to go in playing this game essentially blind. I didn't even check out any YouTube videos.
All right.
I know that there's 2 of them, and you're make sure it's the first one, and so that's what I did.
Yeah. So, real quick, my first exposure to this game was actually on a kiosk at a Kmart.
Wow.
Super Kmart back in the day.
All places. On Sega Genesis or the Super Nintendo?
On the Genesis, yeah. It was weird because the same Kmart ended up having the second game on their kiosk as well.
Oh, wow.
What are they doing, Maybe they had a 7-Up display nearby that I didn't realize, and maybe they're just trying to cross-promote. Could have been, but I was too young. I was probably 10 years old, something, so I didn't really pay attention, but I remember seeing it and thinking, because I was hardcore Nintendo, so I saw this and I was like, that looks really good for a Sega game.
Yeah.
As always, for a Sega game. Because, I was used to Nintendo, where everything is pretty much sublime. But basically, my experience was that I might have tried playing the kiosk a few times, but usually there was some kid on there.
That's
playing
always
around,
how it was. You had to wait,
or
in
the
line
controller
and
was
then-
broken.
Yeah, that too. For me, it was always you're waiting in line, and then your mom or dad's like, "Come on, let's go," and you're like, "Dang it, I didn't get to play."
Exactly. So anyway, ever since then, I've had it in my mind like I gotta play that CoolSpot game because it looked really neat, and I gotta know what it's all about. And that was it. Like it was enough visually. It was enough to at least have me interested, and it made it a lot more bearable to do for this this series we're doing. But there's a few things that you mentioned that I want to touch on. So you mentioned how it reminded you of Aladdin
Yeah.
and Lion King.
Yep.
Well, the reason why it might remind you of Aladdin is because it was programmed by David Perry, who would then go on to form Shiny Entertainment, but who was previously working at Virgin Interactive, who made Aladdin
Oh.
with this.
Damn.
So there's a good chance that all the same people worked on this CoolSpot game.
Now, this came before Aladdin or after it? I
don't know. I didn't actually look up the year. I didn't pay attention. I want to say, I don't know. It could be before. Might be around the same time.
I'll flash it on the screen.
Yeah, but anyway, David Perry, he went on to do some pretty big things. So like one of the biggest games I think that I ever have known him for is Earthworm Jim.
Oh yeah, those are
So-
fantastic.
He was a creative mind behind that. Both first and second one, I'm sure he had something to do with the third one, but I've never played it. I've only heard bad things about it. But if you look at those games, they're also visually stunning and
And on the Genesis too. I mean, woohoo!
sound as well. Yeah. Now, what did you think of the sound? Just in the first level, of course. But what did you think?
I think you're gonna understand exactly what I'm gonna say here. It had that classic Sega Genesis sound.
Really? I didn't
there's-
think so.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. I can't remember exactly. I don't think it's when. Oh, I know what it is. When the crab dies, it makes a sound, and I've heard the sound before. And you know what? The best word I can use to describe it is like a raunchy fart.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah, okay.
kind of the sound, and there's a lot of Sega games that had that kind of sound. I think it's the limitations of the sound chip, to be honest. But
Oh yeah.
one of the games that comes to mind, which maybe you haven't played, and maybe we'll check out at a later date, is called Jewel Master, and that same exact sound seems to be in that game too. So it just kind of reminded me of a few other games, but
Well,
it's not.
music.
I thought the music was pretty good,
Okay.
but
So the sound effects, I agree.
sound
sound
effects,
effects.
yeah, poopy.
That's typical Genesis stuff right there. The music rather, is actually. Actually, let me rewind because I got to mention something else about David Perry. I can't forget this. It's too important. So
Okay.
he went on to do, while he was with Shiny Entertainment, they went on to make Enter the Matrix
Oh,
and the Path of Neo.
Path
that
of
came
Neo,
after
really
that?
good. Yeah.
And then he went on, when he left Shiny, and he went on to form a company we now know as Gaikai,
Oh,
and which was then bought by Sony and is now used for their streaming tech in PlayStation Now.
yes.
So that's David Perry in a nutshell.
Now I wonder, is he still working for Sony?
Who knows? I don't know. I mean, you have to look it up. But then we have the music, getting back on track. This was actually done by somebody you probably know as well, Tommy Tallarico.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, he also did the music for Earthworm Jim, as well as many, many other games like Wild 9 on the PlayStation, and just too many to list, honestly. And he was a host
I guess that's why it's a bit above par.
Yeah, and he was a host on G4, the G4 TV channel for a while. He was a host there.
I used to watch him on that show.
Yeah, and now he is the CEO of Intellivision, and he's heading the launch of the Amico.
You mean the new Intellivision?
Yeah, called the Amico.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, very interesting that these guys are like, they were kicking it then and they're kicking it now apparently. So good on them.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So let's see. The issue you ran into. Let's tackle that. We're gonna bounce
so
around.
here's where I'm at. I get to the end of the level basically where you can't go to the right anymore and you have to go up onto the balloons.
Mm-hmm.
And you basically go all the way to the left, or at least you're supposed to, and I can't, like one of the balloons, it just seems like impossible for me to grab. I grabbed it once, but then I think I might have jumped the wrong way or something, I don't know. And that's pretty much it. It's like I can't figure out how to get out of there.
Okay, so in that level, that's pretty much unnecessary stuff that you're doing.
Really?
Yeah, so here's the thing with the game. The way this game works is you are basically collecting cool spots, of course.
Yeah.
And as you collect those little red dots, they increase your cool percentage. If you look up on the HUD, it'll show you that. The more you get, the higher it goes, and so on and so forth. Now, the way you complete a level is by collecting enough of those things, not all of them, but enough of them to exit the level. And to exit the level, you actually have to, like when you collect enough, a cage will appear with a cool spot, another cool spot trapped inside. And you have to go to the cage, break it open, and then level's done.
Now, I saw that cage, I believe. I'm going to have to check the footage and check again.
If you had enough...
I don't remember how to get, like... I swear I saw it, but I didn't go to it, and then I couldn't find it.
It's right where the balloons are at the very end, when you walk all the way to the right there, so...
Well, then that's not what I was thinking.
It's there, and you have to have enough of those cool points, though, to end the level, and to save the other cool spot.
Okay.
So that's probably all that you were doing, was you just didn't collect enough of those red dots to finish up.
That kind of sounds similar to Rayman. Like, when you...
Yeah, kind of. It is actually very, very similar, because the cages actually are pretty similar even. But that's basically the way the game works. The health thing was kind of strange. Like, at first I thought it might be the cool percentage was your health, but it's not. Your health is actually basically a picture of you, the cool spot, falling apart, like slouching over more and more as you get hit until he just falls over. Kind of confusing, but whatever. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it. I'm about 5 levels in myself, and every level is the same. Some of them have slightly different challenges, obviously, but the ultimate goal is the same.
Well, the environments are way different?
They get different, yeah. There's one where I think I was in a bathtub. Not really sure 100%. There's like rubber duckies and water.
Now, was yours on the Genesis or the Super Nintendo?
I did the Genesis one.
Okay.
I did the Genesis too. And then let's see what else there was. Trying to think. I don't know. There was variety, anyways. I did get one of the bonus levels because if you get like a whole lot of those red dots, you get your cool percentage way high. You unlock a bonus stage when you finish the level.
Oh, okay. Well, keep that in mind.
This actually reminded me of Donkey Kong Country because if you remember in Donkey Kong Country, you would go into a bonus room and there'd just be like a bunch of bananas. You just have a limited time to grab as many bananas as possible. And that's exactly what this is. Except for you're just grabbing those CoolSpot dots as fast as you can, well, in the time frame that you have. So that was kind of neat. There was some things, like there was the level I had mentioned where I think it's a bathtub level, where it did one thing that I think is really not great, and the same thing happened in Yoanoid a few times even, where you would have to basically take blind jumps and leaps of faith and hope that you land on a platform. And I think this was the result of them making the character sprite so big and having everything zoomed in so much to show all the detail. They sacrifice like playability a touch. You have the same thing happen in Earthworm Jim even.
Oh.
So
well, maybe
that
it's
was
just could be like a game design thing.
Well,
that he
I think
really
it's an artist pride.
Yeah.
I do. I think it's artist pride because, like, yeah, they create really good looking games, and I think they just want you to see it so much that they tend to mess up when it comes to playability. Like, you ever play? I'm trying to think. Did you notice? I guess in this game even, did you notice how when you turn your character, the camera will pan a little bit to the side to show more of what's in front of you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying. Like, to me, that means that the camera needs to be zoomed out a little bit so you don't have to worry about that, because it made it hard to see some things coming up.
I can agree, especially in the first level with the sand dunes or little.
Yeah. No. And you mentioned the difficulty that you didn't change it or anything.
Yeah, I didn't even know you could.
I did. I usually do just because I want to make sure I can get somewhere and see more of the game. But I went back and I played some on just normal difficulty to see why you were struggling. And yeah, that's way harder on normal difficulty for that game. So I think that might have been your issue partly. Just, it's ridiculous. They throw so many more enemies at you at a time that it almost feels like a shooter.
Well, I didn't have any issues with the enemies, to be honest. I mean, yes, there's a lot of them. Yeah. But like I said, I got to the very end, and I thought I had to go on the balloons and go backwards and go up, and I couldn't go up. So maybe now what I need to do is go at it again and just, now that I know about the spots.
Yeah, and you can do that and go. You can bounce off those balloons and bubbles and stuff, and just collect dots up there because there's a bunch up in the sky.
Yeah, that's
what it's for.
I just didn't realize it.
Yep. So there's that, and I noticed something else that was kind of weird with this game that is also a thing in Earthworm Jim, is that the collision detection is kind of weird, like with the environment especially.
Yeah, I think I might have experienced that a little bit.
Yeah, well, you notice how like you have like the sand that's like curved up and stuff, but it's like you can kind of jump through some parts of it, but not all of it, and it's like I don't know what they were doing. It's an Earthworm Jim issue that apparently Shiny Entertainment just never got past.
So maybe actually, the problem in Earthworm Jim really was a CoolSpot problem.
Maybe it was. I would kind of want to go back to Aladdin and see if it's like that there. I don't remember it being like that, but maybe it was. So here's how, like when I first started playing the game, my first impression was that the game felt a bit like Sonic the Hedgehog, a bit like Donkey Kong Country, and a bit like Vector Man, all mashed into one thing somehow. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't know about the Sonic part because, I mean, you're not moving that fast. But the way the levels are designed, I would say that's a big possibility.
Well, here's where that comes from. Have you tried just holding right or left or just holding a direction to move for a while?
Yeah.
And your character starts to pick up speed.
So he can get pretty fast then?
He gets going really fast.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Now that's when I tried playing on normal mode, I decided to experiment with that too, which was not a great idea. Because I thought maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe you're not supposed to take these levels so slow, but maybe it's meant to be kind of sped through faster and just build momentum and stuff. But I could not make it work to my favor one bit. Like, it was something that didn't seem like it should be there, but it is.
I definitely think it's very, very similar to Donkey Kong Country.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also throw in, granted, I think it came out afterwards, but I'm not really sure, but Rayman.
Yeah, sorta. I guess I picked Vector Man, which probably came out after this too, because the way that you shoot whatever you're shooting, the bubbles, I guess it has to be.
Yeah.
It feels just like Vector Man does. And the way the sounds the enemies make actually is pretty similar too. And I guess even the sounds that CoolSpot makes sounds like something I would have heard in Vector Man, but yeah. So let me go down my list here. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. We already talked about the graphics, right?
Yep.
Pretty awesome. Pretty great. The levels are very exploratory, as you've no doubt noticed.
Yeah, you can go, right and left at will, and it's not like the
There's
original
verticality.
Mario where you can get stuck, or whatever. But it's definitely totally open, which is nice.
Yeah. Cool side note with the mini game I was just talking about, where you had to collect all those spots in the time limit. It takes place inside of a 7-Up bottle.
That's kind of funny.
That's beautiful. And there's like little bubbles and everything, so it's awesome. We talked about the sound. We talked about David Perry, Tommy Tallarico. Let's see here. Okay, so real quick, I did look into some things on Wikipedia about the game, just to kind of find some little tidbits to share on here. The SNES version is ranked at number 88 out of 100 on Complex.com's all-time best Super Nintendo game.
Wow.
So it's actually ranked on there, which I'm kind of surprised. I'd never really heard about Complex.com, but hey, it's something. GameRankings.com puts the game at an 82%. So clearly this is not a bad game by most standards, I'm assuming. Now let's discuss some of the cons. I know you don't have much to go off of, but I think these you've no doubt noticed. The first one we can talk about, because I know you've noticed, is the unclear objective.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that.
You totally don't know what to do.
Yeah.
They throw you in the level and it's like, have at it.
Yeah. Just like Yo-Noid, to be honest.
A bit, yeah, except with Yo-Noid, at least you get to the end and that's the end. It's like,
Yeah.
just go right, you know? But in this game, it's not a matter of just going right. So there's that. The enemies felt super generic. Not that I know what kind of enemies they should have had for a 7-Up game, you know, but they played off the environments, I suppose, and they did what they could. I don't know what else you could possibly do with CoolSpot, but and then I mentioned the spotty hit detection already, and then the momentum-based movement just doesn't really jive with the stage design.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know it existed, so
Yeah,
I would say that's a poor move.
I found out by accident with that because when I first started playing, I ended up dying, and you know, when I restarted the level, I kind of knew a certain portion of the stage, so I tried to rush it. You know, I was holding right. Next thing I know, I'm like hauling ass, and I jump and I like leap really far, and then I'm like right in the nest of bad guys, and I die again. It's like, okay, I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently it is. So very weird that they have it there, because it seems like it could have been really cool, just never materialized into anything. But other than that, yeah, I think this is a pretty decent game from what I've played. It's not bad, but it's not great.
Now we didn't rank Yo Noid, and we probably should have. But let's start ranking these games. What out of 10? Where would you place it?
Well, without doing like proper review methods and stuff, just kind of off these quick plays, my quick review of Yonoid would have been like 6, probably 6 out of 10.
Okay.
This feels so far like a solid 7.
I was going to say that too, actually.
I think it's better than Yonoid because it doesn't have a lot of the same flaws and a lot of the same annoyances, but the exploration-based level design could be bothersome to some. It might just be uninteresting to some people because there is action. There are some levels that feel like you're playing like Gunstar Heroes a little bit, or I mean that's probably a little hyperbole, but it's a lot of shooting basically. Like there's one, pretty sure you're under like a sink or something because there's like a lot of pipes and there's mice and mouse traps and nails sticking through boards and stuff. And as you go through, you're having to take out these mice that are throwing cheese at you for some reason. And basically you have to hammer on that shoot button to take out the cheese and the mice and take out spiders that are trying to drop on top of you all the time.
Jeez.
So it's kind of action heavy in that level. But then there's other levels where, like the bathtub one I told you about, where there's almost no enemies. It's all platforming. So,
well, at least there's some variety. I would say that that's a plus.
Yeah, definitely is.
Not boring.
Right. It's kind of maze-like, but I don't know. I think 7 out of 10, at least for now, seems pretty good. It might even be an 8. I have to play more to really know for sure, but I like what I played so far.
I definitely have to play more, especially now that I know the objective isn't to get to the top. That's the only reason why I quit playing was I didn't know what the heck to do. And
now I did.
So simple.
Well, I did play the first level of the Super Nintendo version.
Oh.
And there are some differences. I don't know how substantial the differences get. I have a feeling that, like most SNES and Genesis ports, that there are probably some substantial things. I noticed there was more objects in the first level. I noticed the sound was drastically better, as expected. Just kind of things like that. We should probably cover that game in the future.
I think we should. It's
pretty good from what I could play. It seems different enough that it might be worth a look. Maybe we'll play it a bit and be like, no, this is basically the same thing. But for now, it seems pretty cool. Game, as we mentioned earlier, did have a sequel. CoolSpot Goes to Hollywood. And it's an isometric game, so that should be interesting.
Well, maybe we'll cover that as a bonus, like a bonus episode or something. I don't know.
It is a sequel. So. But anyway, yeah, I think 7 out of 10 for this one.
Obviously, if this game had a sequel, though, that means it sold pretty well. So that's pretty good, especially for for 7-Up, which is the fact that we're going to pay you money to make a game for us using our character, and let's see how well it does. And next thing you know, hey, we're making a sequel.
It's very weird. Like, we've played a Dominoes-based game that was not that terrible. It was kind of terrible, but not as bad as you would think. And now a CoolSpot game that's not that bad either. It's like,
which actually, the major differences too between the two games, this one actually has 7-Up branding in it.
Oh yeah, all over the place. Yeah, like you can find 7-Up bottles like as power-ups that will totally fill up your health completely.
Yeah, it's I was actually, when I found that first one in the first level, it says 7-Up on there, I'm like, yeah. I was actually pretty happy to see it for some reason.
Yeah, it's pretty good, even if it is shameless with all the branding that's just all over the place.
I am kind of curious, when the game originally came out, how much it cost. I wonder if it was a reduced rate due to essentially being a commercial.
I don't know, because it is marketing, but at the same time, it's clearly a pretty good game.
Yeah. So, let's see, what game should we do next?
Well, I hear there's this cheetah who promotes a certain cheesy product.
Oh,
that might be worth a look.
Yeah, no, I think that's what we'll do next time. Definitely.
Yeah, let's cross our fingers and hope for another decent game.
Isn't there a sequel too?
There is. There's a couple of them.
Well, let's hope the first one is really good. Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis?
Let's surprise them. I don't know yet.
Or, let's see if the 6 or 7 people that listen to this podcast, we'll see if they vote on it. I'll see if I can put a voting up there on the top there on the cards.
That, and if you want to leave us a comment about a game that we should cover, let us know. And if we can get our hands on the game or emulate it or something, we will.
Yeah.
But,
and as far as like Junk Food Chronicles, if you don't know any junk food style games, but you do have something else that maybe we've never played before, we're down to give those a shot.
Yeah.
Anything really.
Yeah, the Junk Food Chronicles is going to be an ongoing thing for however long it takes, probably. So it's not like it's going to be every single episode. It's going to be ongoing in the throughout time.
And actually, we the whole idea behind the podcast is retro gaming, and I've heard various people out there in the industry say that, like, for instance, DF Retro, Digital Foundry's stuff, if it's 10 years old, they consider it retro now. And I don't know if that's really I mean, how is that retro? But I will accept it, because that means we can do a thing on Killzone 2, and I'm more than happy to do that. But that's just kind of awkward, you know. It's like PlayStation 3 is retro? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that is weird.
I was just saying that I guess if you know of a game that is at least 10 years old, by all means, send it our way. But not necessarily the game itself, but, you know.
Yeah.
Although I will gladly add it to my collection, and I'm sure Greg would too, but, you know, we don't need presents and toys and stuff. That's unnecessary.
Yeah.
But if you want to support the show, hit up my Patreon, and whatever we get, you know, I will definitely split with Greg so he can get a piece of the pie. So with all that,
that's all we got.
thanks for tuning in, and happy gaming for sure. Alrighty. Talk to you later.